I'm like, the surprises better not be eighth grade pictures.
I think it's even better than the eighth grade pictures. But hello, everyone. Very excited to have this conversation with a dear friend of mine. She's a writer, producer, director. She has an amazing journey and story. She's an artivist. She's an edutainer. Brick City's own. Can you please
Hey,
give a warm welcome to Nefertiti
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited
Yeah.
to have a conversation with you.
Yes, very excited to learn about you, or learn more about you.
Mhm.
Been able to follow your journey, been inspired by your journey and all that you're doing within the community. Maybe we'll start here. Can you just share with folks some of your credits, past, present, and some past, present, and any things you'll be working on in the near future?
Sure. So past credits include I made some independent shorts and an independent feature entitled In the Morning. I've directed some television episodes, two episodes of Wu-Tang and American Saga, an episode of Power Book 2, Ghost, The Wonder Years, The Other Black Girl, The Crossover, Flatbush Misdemeanors, to name a few.
That's awesome. And what do you have in the hopper in the near future?
So I have a feature film project that I'm trying to slowly push that boulder up the hill. I absolutely miss making independent films. So that's that. I've also been doing a lot of work and content for an organization that I'm really proud to be working with, Defend Harlem. So just have rolling things coming out with for them. And then I have another episode of television coming up in the fall for an untitled Amazon series. So I'm trying to stay active.
Was this your childhood passion, Nefertiti? How did you get into the arts?
Yes, it was. I started off wanting to be an actor person. Like I always was into like theater and plays. I studied theater at Arts High School. And I remember going on my first like non-high school audition and I was like, absolutely not. This is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. And this was around the time that Spike Lee started making his early films, which I was totally enamored and in love with. Newark is also the home of the longest running Black film festival in the country, the Newark Black Film Festival. My mother took me to see Gordon Parks' film, The Learning Tree, there. And, that's sort of when I started to get bitten by this new bug of like wanting to be a director. And so I decided after I went to arts high school that I wasn't going to continue to study theater, that I wanted to major in film. And that's what took me to this city, to School of Visual Arts, and I studied film there.
That's awesome. Who are your major influences?
Oh my goodness, so many. Like, and my influences are so from different mediums,
Sure, I'm
like
sure.
so and film, as I said, obviously, Spike's work had a big early work had a really big influence on me because he just kicked down so many doors and made so much seem possible for Black filmmakers at that time. Also super influenced and love the work of Ingmar Bergman. He's a Swedish filmmaker. Who else? Contemporary filmmakers, Julie Dash, Ayoka Chinzera, writers like Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Juno Diaz, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Eric Dolphy. Like the list is so vast. Mingus. I'm just, I feel like I pull from so many influences when I'm making work. And that's the thing. It's just like I feel like all of that is sort of somehow, including my own personal story, where I grew up, who my parents are. It's all filtering through me, when I'm making choices as an artist, when I'm trying to shape a story. So
That's
those are a
awesome.
few.
Yeah, you mentioned family. I have a special guest that I want
Oh
to
Lord.
invite to the stage. Let me see if I can uh, find the guest. Give me one second. And this is special guest, very special guest, has a question for you.
Hey, boo.
I
Just
tried
want
to
to
act
take
like
this
you know what I
opportunity to say how.
We'll say it again.
I said I talked to her today. She had mentioned none of this.
Hey, boo. Just want to take this opportunity to say how immensely proud of you I am, how much I enjoy witnessing your um, growth as a human being, as an artist, as an activist. It is really exciting for me. And I am really, really proud of who you are. In terms of a question for you, I guess I would ask what childhood experience or experiences you feel like most shaped who you are today. Love you lots. Bye.
The one and only Naima
I
Nguvu.
know, my sissy poo. I literally talked to her this morning. I mentioned that I was going to be talking to you. She said nothing about.
Awesome, exactly as it was played.
Oh my goodness. I honestly, I'd have to say that I don't think that there is one experience that I can point to, but I certainly think being the child of activists, being the child of, people who were in the movement. My father was in Amiri Baraka's organization. And so from a very early age, I had this idea in my mind that art was supposed to be reflective of our times and that art could be a tool of liberation. And so I think if there's anything that, still lives with me today that, that filters through my mind every single day from my childhood, it's that, it's my mother taking us to see Sweet Honey in the Rock concert, Sonia Sanchez poetry readings, being at the basement, 808 South 10th Street, seeing so many
Yes.
amazing artists come through, Kimako's Blues people, just all the things that, so I think my childhood was certainly shaped by people who believed, in artists and who believed in art as a tool for liberation. And so I think that's the biggest influence for sure.
It's awesome. So on your journey to where you are now and everything you will do in the near future, Nefertiti, have you ever been deterred? Did you ever get discouraged? And if so, how did you get back on track to achieve what you've been able to achieve?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel I've had way more no's than yeses in my career. I feel like I've been on, I have television credits now and things like that now, but I'm like, I've been a freelance artist literally most of my adult life. And it hasn't been an easy uh endeavor at all. I feel like um and I know so many amazing artists who, because of all the work it takes to do the work, gave up, early on because they just couldn't, handle all that comes with it. So yes, I have like I said, I have a feature film now that it is literally a boulder I'm trying to push up that it's not going to be easy to make, so yes, it has been difficult, but the thing that keeps me going is, my purpose and the reason that I make films and, the audience that I'm thinking about when I make them. It's just like, it is very hard to do this. I feel like it is a miracle when a Black person gets to make a film, that actually about something, that is actually meaningful and deep. And it is never easy, it's never easy. And for me, the reason why I get out of bed in the morning and why I can keep doing it is because of the higher purpose. It's because of, who I'm making films for. And that's what keeps me going through the difficult times, because times, are always it's always going to be hard. You know what I mean? Until we are truly
Absolutely.
liberated, until the dynamics actually shift in terms of where the power structure lies in this industry, it's always going to be hard. And I'm just super committed, though, to telling the stories that I think are important and super committed to using my voice as a tool for liberation.
That's awesome. So we have future storytellers who are aspiring to reach higher heights. What advice do you have for them, these young ladies in high school, young men in high school, college, who have similar dreams, but it seems so far away?
And I've been there. I know that feeling where you just, you feel like I came into this industry with no real contacts, like I had no nepotism to count on, nobody's uncle or cousin who I could count on. Like I literally, when I moved to California, I like slept in my friend's daughter's bedroom for a month until I found a place. Like nothing was easy for me. I feel like what sustains me and what I always advise young people to do is to just keep making the work, keep making the work and keep finding ways to build community around the work that you make. That's also very important because when I was making short films very early on, I would always enter them into film festivals and go to those festivals and be in community with people, be in community with other filmmakers, meet, most of the films that I have made, all of the films I have made have been primarily accepted into film festivals that are geared toward Black stories or women's stories. And so I try to show up to all of them and to do all those talkbacks and to meet people and to continue to be able to create community around my work. Because, all my films were funded by Kickstarter. All the independent films that I were making is either Kickstarter and pre-Kickstarter. It was just me sending out an email asking people for money. So I encourage all the young people to just keep making films. And now it's a little bit easier. It's like we can make films on iPhones. It takes a lot less resources than it did once upon a time to make films. So I just say, keep making films, keep challenging yourself. Creativity is free. Keep challenging yourself to tell stories, and keep trying to find the community that's going to support you around your work. Because it is going to be difficult, but you need those pillars.
That's awesome. Would you like to say hello to our second special guest?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I'm sure you have no idea what this sense is.
Okay.
I'm really excited about this one.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh my God. Why, when you said, I was like, well, it's gonna be like Miss Richardson or something. That's hilarious.
You got some kind words to share as well. So let's let her in.
Nefertiti, you and your sister and your whole family have always added such a huge joy to my being. You are a teacher's dream come true. Challenged me, you pushed me, you made me second guess, you made me take a deep breath from time to time. And that was always a very good thing. You made me search deep to find new ways to challenge, to answer, to dig a little deeper as a teacher, as the provider of your journey. I want to congratulate you on all of your successes and to make sure that you are very aware that this is just the beginning. There's so much more in store for you. Stay focused, continues to stay true to yourself, and never allow anyone or anything to stand between you and your lifeline, which is your family, your roots, your beginnings. I've been asked to provide a question for you. My question is, if you could come to us as the educators from your past and ask us to add or enhance our curriculum in some way that would have enriched your journey, added to your journey, what would you have had us do?
The one and only.
Oh my goodness. She was such an amazing teacher. And I will say this as someone
20% off.
Early on, I was a great student, but by the time I got to 7th and 8th grade, I was not the best student. I'm someone who very naturally just rejects authority. And, also coming from the background that I came from, I was like always
Yeah.
arguing with teachers about like silly shit that they would try to teach us that I knew was not true. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
Miss Richardson was just such an amazing teacher. Like, it's so funny listening to her talk about how great of a student I was. I'm like, I know a lot of people that would disagree with
Mhm.
that. But good teachers.
Interested at the resistance.
Yes.
This is a pause for a second. When I saw the video, I said, But that's interesting. I couldn't wait to hear you unpack it. So please continue.
But she was an amazing teacher. Like like I said, someone who naturally doesn't have like immediate respect for authority, but I'm like, I respect people who demonstrate respect for me. And Ms. Richardson was someone like who really respected her students, you know what I mean? And was really a great teacher. And unfortunately, there are just so many people that should not be anywhere near our students, who unfortunately are teachers, who have no idea of what it takes to teach and to reach out to especially folks from our community. So like so much love and respect for Miss Richardson and teachers like her who actually gave a damn and who were really good at what they did. She's amazing.
Absolutely.
um
The question was in terms of what could she have done differently? What could the school system have done differently to better prepare you for your personal and professional endeavors?
she was amazing. I feel like the school system is a whole other
Very true. Very true.
because sadly the teachers who are good at what they do, they have to reject a certain amount of and they have to buy shit on their own and like do so many things that the school system should be helping with and providing but are not. They just have to take it amongst themselves, which it shouldn't be that way. But I feel like critical thinking is something that I feel like is incredibly valuable, and I feel like for whatever reason our school systems are not really set up to help our students think critically. It's like we have these like very rigid mechanisms and tools of learning that just don't work for a lot of people, that don't work for a lot of our students. And so I feel like there really just needs to be a whole different approach to learning if we are interested in actually creating students who can live healthy and productive lives. But, the sad reality is that we're not, the American education system is not interested in that. We are interested in funneling kids off to like, the school to prison pipeline or just
Right.
any other, we're just not invested in creating wholesome, healthy people, from the food we're feeding children to what we're teaching to how we're expecting children to learn. Is just, one of America's many, many, many things that yes, things that needs to be addressed and changed and made more just.
Yeah, Ms. Richardson had a similar impact on me. I fully agree. The school system hasn't changed. The world has changed. It was setting us up to be employees
Mm-hmm.
in the class.
At best.
Thing, sure, from the late 80s and 90s. So
Mm-hmm.
switching gears again, in terms of your Hollywood Africans frame,
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding, that's a Basquiat, or it came from a Basquiat painting. Can you tell me a little bit about that movement and what the mission of that is?
Sure. So yes, it's absolutely a title of a Basquiat painting. And Basquiat was somebody I discovered as a teenager when I went to film school when I was 16 at SBA. I started then, and a teacher there had us go see a show of his for an assignment. And I was just so incredibly moved by his work. As someone who grew up in what people call the inner city, and I just had really never seen work that I felt like really spoke to me in that way. Like I remember this one painting, I don't even remember the title of the painting that was in the show, but it was like, had depicted some, you know, it was a very typical sort of scene of inner city life. And then like over it, there was an airplane. And I just remember thinking about moments as a kid when I'd be outside playing, doing whatever, and you just see airplanes flying above you and you just stop and wonder like where they're going, or are they coming in or going, you know, and I was just like, it just moved me. And it just really took me back to my childhood. And just the more I learned about his story, he just, you know, became a big influence on me. And I love the title Hollywood Africans because I felt like it spoke to so many facets of my life, you know, this, you know, being raised by Pan-Africanist parents, wanting to work in this industry, you know, this Hollywood industry. And I just felt like Hollywood Africans just kind of really spoke to me. So I jacked it. And so that's the name of my production company. And it's all the independent work that I have made comes under that banner.
That's awesome. Many of your credits are involve hip hop, and when you mention your influences, you mentioned folks who influenced hip hop, but not necessarily any hip hop artists. What's your relationship with hip hop as a whole, past, present, and where hip hop is headed?
Let me tell you something. I'm like, it's so wild that hip hop has had such a the first person to ever pay me to direct anything was Queen Latifah. Like hip hop has had such an amazing sort of effect on my career. And you know what I love about it. So I feel like what hip hop, one of the many amazing things that hip hop did was that it gave artists a platform and created these little mini moguls and people who were now in a position to help other artists. So I don't think I would have the career that I have were it not for hip hop, were it not for the success that those artists had that in turn paid it forward, you know? Like I said, Queen Latifah was the first person to pay me to direct anything. Also did a web series for Common that was impactful for sure for my career. Working on my first episode of television that I ever did was a show called Tales, BET. That was Irv Gotti's show. Then I did an episode of Ghost, which as we all know is, you know, 50 Cent. And then things also shifted for me when I did 2 episodes of Wu-Tang: An American Saga, and I got to work with, you know, the incredible RZA. So I grew up on hip hop. I was always like a native tongue type of. That was my jam. Like 3 Feet High and Rising is to this day like the only album that I know every single line of that album, like from this. Like,
First of all, I have my sons on it. They love
like
music trash, but they tell me to play that De La Soul.
listen, like just, and I love them so much because it was like they're just like these Black nerds, and that was like, you know, even though I loved other hip hop, nothing really spoke to me the way that did because it was such a reflection of me, you know, Black medallions, no gold, you know, it was just like this sense of consciousness, this sense of like nerdiness, all the weird references that were in their music. To them, Tribe, Jungle Brothers, like that was those were people. So yes, I love hip hop. I'm super influenced by it. I feel like I would have to say though that in terms of like most of the hip hop I listen to now is like 30 years old or 10 years, you know what I mean? With some very few exceptions. Like I really love Kendrick. I think he's a really brilliant writer. I love his music. But a lot of the hip hop that I still listen to is artists that have been out like Nas. I love those, you know, those set of last few albums that he did. I listened to them, they're like in heavy rotation. But a lot of stuff that's in rotation is like Wu-Tang, but you know, their album from like 20 years ago, like I still listen to, or like Raekwon, like it's just, I don't know. I haven't really found a point of entry into a lot of hip hop, you know, and some things I can get into just, you know, like if it comes on and I'm out and about, but in the way that I feel like artists like Lauryn Hill and Fugees were speaking to me and speaking my language. I haven't really found that so much in contemporary artists, at least not the ones that are on my radar, with very few exceptions. So I'm just that auntie that's gonna have you in the car listening to the score over and over again.
Fully relate. One artist that I would recommend you check out is Homeboy Sandman. He's an artist based out of Queens.
Sandman, okay.
He has about 20 albums. He's a true
Oh
artist.
wow, okay.
He's a true artist. I stumbled across him about 10 or 15 years ago, and I've been stuck on his music.
Nice. Okay. And I feel like now just with all of it's just harder for artists to break through. You know what I mean? Like if there is a Lauryn Hill that's out there now, it's just so much harder for that sister to break through, just given, this
Yeah.
incredible corporatization of hip hop these days. And so yes, I thank you for putting I will check them out.
I'm a fan of a lot of your work, and you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's truly slept on, but Flatbush Misdemeanors. I'm not sure how commercially successful it was, but when I tell you how creative and unique, interesting that show was or is, phenomenal.
Thank you. That show is a true gem. I was just still like blown away by the writing. Two incredible young comedians wrote that show that was based on a web series that they did that was really successful. Then Showtime gave them the opportunity to make it into a series. It's like it was hard for it has certainly gotten a cult following now, but at the time it was just really hard for it to find like a broad audience, given the nature of it. I just loved working on that show so much. Like I feel like it's going to be one of those shows like 10, 20 years. Exactly. It'll be like, how do we miss this?
That's how I feel about Southside, the show Southside. That's how.
Okay.
Got a lot of commercial success. But the other Black girl, the Wu series, forget about it. I'm such a Wu head. Oh my God. The documentary was amazing. The 4-part documentary. And then
Yes. Oh my God.
the Wu saga and series was just very fascinating.
Their story is just incredible. Like it truly is an American saga. Like it blows my mind when I think about it, and that was when I was just so giddy with the opportunity to work on that show. I have so much love and respect for RZA. Like he was just an amazing person to collaborate with. He put so much, he just empowered me in ways and that even surprised me. I remember like my first day on set, like I was just really nervous working on that show too, because I had heard that, the cast can be a handful and, just like all these things. And I had all this nervousness about it, but it was just an amazing experience. I loved that cast so much. They were a dream come true for me. Like I would work with each and every one of them again in a heartbeat. And I remember my first day on set, it was the scene that we shot at the Empire State Building, and we had to be there. We had to start rolling at like 6 a.m. because of the hours that we could be there, and how they had to open it up for tourism and all that stuff. And it started raining like toward the end of our scene. And I just went, usually a director is behind what they call video village, which is sort of can sometimes be away from where the cast is so that it can be hidden from camera. And I was just like, there's no way that I can keep communicating notes back and forth. So I just took the little handheld monitor, stood outside in the rain with them, and we got it done. And it was just like that really beautiful breakup scene. And then when I came back inside, I realized RZA had gotten there, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't know he was here. But I just would have been so nervous. But he was like so like sweet, and I think that he really loved what he saw. Like even he can see that I had a real rapport with Ashton and some of the cast members, because he didn't like after that first day on set, he didn't really come around a lot. And I was, he would send Slice, his amazing assistant, to, say that he really loved what he was seeing, and that he just really, he could see that, I had something going on with the cast that he just didn't want to be disruptive of, but would just always send really sweet things. And I just really loved how much faith and trust he put in me. And I can't say enough good things about the RZA. Like he's dope.
That's awesome. Never met him before, but how you describe him is exactly how I envisioned he would be.
Yeah.
Um,
It's such a beautiful surprise when people who you look up to
yeah,
or who you think are something really turn out to be that way. And like he's literally everything that you would imagine the RZA to be, he is, and then some. He's just like such a special person, such a beautiful, generous human being. It's cancer season. He's a cancer, but he will tell you, he's like, I wasn't always like this. Like I definitely went through my phases.
I saw the documentary, so it's all
Right.
documented.
Yes. But the reason we have now is like
Come a
such a
long way.
beautiful Zen brother that I just absolutely adore.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll get you out of here on this one. I am the author of I Am I Will.
Hey.
I'll make sure to get you a copy. It's a framework that I created to essentially help folks proclaim their identity and map out their personal and professional goals in a very intentional way. Because anything you put after I am, no one can tell you that you are not.
Right.
So NefertitiNguvu, what is your I am and what is your I will?
I am, without question, unequivocally, always for the liberation of my people. I will do everything that I can that's within my power to make the liberation of my people and all people possible.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Nefertiti, I am so proud of you. I am truly a fan. You are telling our story in amazing ways. Please continue to do what you do. Be encouraged. Know we're out here rooting for you, saluting you, celebrating you. How can the audience, how can the community find you, find your work, and get involved and get connected?
My website is hollywoodafricans.com. I am on Instagram. It's HOLLWD. It's just no O's at the end of Africans. But I'm easy. My name is like, because my name is so unique. It just, if you put my name in, well, that's one thing I got to give it to my parents. They did choose very wisely. When it came to that name, is like, sometimes when I'm traveling for work or doing things, people always, so what's your legal name? What's your real name? Like, that's it. That's what my parents named me. NefertitiNguvu. I'm not creative enough to come up with that. That was 70s Black folks coming up with that. Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Nefertiti, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. You're
My
brilliant.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So
Thank you
good
for having me.
reconnecting with you and continue to do what you do. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you. Peace.